It's Ant Hill time. Welcome to the show. I'm Ant, of course, and this over here is Jay Hill, and we've got a lot of interesting topics to get into today. Jay Hill's over here getting ready. I thought he would have done that pre-show,
I saw the
but
camera.
but apparently he
Wow.
saw himself on screen and was like, "Whoa,
The shirt's not in
I'm
no place.
concerned about my shirt the same way maybe 49er fans are concerned about Trey
This
Lance."
is a good segue.
Yeah, well,
I just want to
that's
know,
what I do.
when do we get to talk about Rory McIlroy today? He was great yesterday.
Roy McIlroy from Tin Cup.
No, the actual Rory McIlroy from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I haven't
the
been watching.
savior of the PGA Tour.
I have not been watching golf.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I haven't watched golf since LT Gray was relevant. Once LT Gray no longer was
about
relevant,
5 years.
it's been a while,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, if John Daly decides to get out there and start whacking some balls, maybe I'll come back to the PGA Tour.
I think he does that every time he goes to Hooters.
Well, enough of the golf talk, because there is people that are very concerned about Trey Lance.
Why?
I think that people were concerned about what happened during the game. A lot of people going over, some of the things that he
one
did.
play.
Well, no, I think there's a couple of occasions, maybe where he missed open receivers. The other one where he rolled to the right and threw an off-platform throw towards Brandon Ayuk. And it hits the ground in front of him. And there's
That
people
throw's
that are,
kinda ugly.
yeah, there's people that are saying, you know what, he could be a sub 60% completion guy this year. Does that surprise you?
No, I fully expect him to be right around between 58 at best, like 62.
I think that's fair.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and actually the throw that he made, because he also had the one low to Malik Turner that was
Yeah.
maybe a little low, a little behind him, which, I mean, if you're a fan that's been watching Jimmy Garoppolo operate this offense and see him make those rhythm throws and allow those receivers to run, you could be concerned. But I look at the situation. It was one game on a short week. You're not scheming. You're not doing anything. You're just he was out there throwing the ball. The Brandon Ayuk went in the ground. I'm okay with that because you know what it didn't do? Get intercepted.
Exactly.
So he left it low. Malik Turner over the middle. He leaves it low where he can, complete it to the receiver. So overall, I'm not concerned about Trey Lance, but I do understand why some people will be concerned. But I did enjoy all the conversation, like you said, the one play, Kurt Warner versus 49ers faithful, who understands.
I'm gonna listen to Kurt
scheme
there every time.
Yeah, I saw what Kurt Warner said. I watched the play, and I'm like, yeah, Kurt Warner's right on
Yeah.
this.
I rewatched the first quarter last night in a little extra prep for the show because I wanted to make sure that.
Well done.
Because I was half kind of watching the game, half radio because I was in and out on the road with job and stuff. So I wanted to sit there and really watch the first quarter. And it looked like the Texans were playing a game in October. Like like Lovey was really trying to get his blitz packages installed and get the guys up on those. And it looked like Kyle gave 2 blanks.
Oh yeah.
So if we played the Texans in October and he played that way, that'd be something. Then like, that wasn't great, but it was just to get guys some rhythms, some live reps, and just stay healthy. And we didn't have Trent. So I'm all this, doom and gloom is kind of annoying me because it's preseason week 3. Trey looked great against the Vikings in those practice days. He looked pretty good against Packers, so I'm not worried. And the idea that he has a rookie year, because I'm a firm believer you're a rookie until you have your 18th start. So when he gets start 18, then he's no longer a rookie. But in terms of actual playing, he's going to be a rookie most of this year. I can point out the third or fourth best player in the sport. His first 3 years was a sub 60% which guy. Now he's the best quarterback in the sport. So can guys improve off completion percentage? Yes, but at the same time, my beloved Alex Smith was a near 70% completion guy for most of his career. What did he win?
Football games, Jason. Football games.
Not championships.
No, he did not win championships. And
Eli
actually,
Manning was a guy around 60 who led the league in picks multiple years. He got 2 rings.
Yeah.
So the idea that you must be a high percentage quarterback to be successful is a little overspun. You must be able to make the accurate throw and get and be able to capitalize on big plays, not throw a little 5-yard stuff off all the time and say, "Ooh, I'm going to save up 75%." He threw for 95 yards, so who cares?
Well, one guy who throws for a lot of completions and had a high completion percentage and was also often docked for not taking the big play, but taking the check down was in fact Jimmy Garoppolo. And we have the Jimmy G and August 30th date coming up. Jimmy G, of course, would use a roster spot on this 53-man roster if they decide to keep him. His money's not guaranteed until September 10th. So really, Jimmy G has no financial effect on the 49ers until then. So they could theoretically keep him. But Jimmy G and August 30th is a date everyone's been watching and targeting because it could be the day where there's resolution. The 49ers finally move off from Jimmy G. Jason, do you think the 49ers are finally going to release Jimmy Garoppolo, move forward with Trey Lance and this backup quarterback situation, and Jimmy G can go out there and try to find a starting gig somewhere else?
I don't think by August the 30th, unless it's a trade that happens before then, I don't see him just being cut until they absolutely have to, because I feel like they're trying to exhaust every possible option to try and wait a team out that may be interested in him, like a team that's starting, Smith, for example. But and quite frankly, if it comes down to the 53rd guy that we keep being somebody versus Jimmy to get a little value, then I'm okay with that, because chances are we can slide that guy through to the practice squad and then get him again.
All right. Well, I'm going to come at you with some stuff then, because
Go
you
ahead.
said the 53rd player. What if that 53rd player is Jordan Mason or Quantrez Knight or Jason Poe or Jordan Willis? You know what I mean? If you're starting to talk about these guys being potentially the 53rd player, you're moving off a very talented guy, a guy that can make a lot of plays for your football team and it has tremendous value, for the hopes of what? Squeezing a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick of compensation from Jimmy Garoppolo?
If it's a 5th round pick, yes, because we do really well in that round.
Oh, you do. But what are the guarantees that you're going to hit on a player, that is as, aggressive as Quantrez Knight, or as powerful, as somebody like Jordan Willis, who's a veteran in this league? You could run the risk of losing a player that can help you right now for the hopes that you're going to hit on someone that could help you in the future.
It's not a. I mean, that style, when you put it that way, that's not a bad way to look at it.
I think if you were going to get enough value, if you knew if you held out, you were going to get a 2nd round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo, I think you're like, okay, I can wait this out, right? I can tell Kerry Hyder or Dante Johnson, if anyone watched, my 53-man projections.
Yes, that was brilliantly.
Yeah, you guys go ahead and wait. We're going to bring you back because Jimmy on the 10th, we're going to move him on. So I hope you're ready to sign. And just be in Chicago ready, because you're going to be suiting up that day.
You won't be on the team plane per se, but here's the first class ticket. We'll see you there.
Yeah, I think that, it's one of those things where I keep waiting for resolution. I thought it was going to happen when free agency started. That's what I thought it was going to happen, because I did think there was a trade market, which I believe there was.
There was.
And then Jimmy had shoulder surgery.
Now, so hate to be the conspiracy guy, but do you think the shoulder surgery was him maybe his first little retort to them bringing in Trey?
No, I don't think so.
Like, I could wait for the surgery and get traded first to someplace, but I'm going to have the surgery now just to kind of screw Niners over?
No, I don't think so,
Okay.
because I think that he wanted to get traded because he wanted to land in a situation where he can start, and now he's in a situation where his only hope is that his agent has went out there and found a situation where he's going to, when he gets released, he's going to get signed. And I think, and then what are those terms? Because with all things, it's about leverage. And now that a team out there knows there's probably not a market for you, means I'm not going to give you a lot of money. So I think that it's always been about Jimmy Garoppolo keeping the league understanding that he's a starter, because once you start becoming a backup in people's minds, you become a backup.
It's hard to get off that.
It is. I mean, look at Mitchell Trubisky. He's in a battle with a rookie. You see, other guys around the league that you're like, oh, they used to be starters. They used to be considered in that light, and now they're just not. Cam Newton was another guy that became a
got buried,
backup,
yep.
and then next thing you know, there's
Out of
no
the league.
value. He's getting minimum
Now,
deals.
Mariota, though, is a guy who started, went to backup, and then has reemerged, though. So it is possible if you find the right fit, but
Yeah,
Jimmy has to be the right fit for
if you
someone.
find a team that wants to lose. I think they wanted a cheap quarterback, and they don't care about winning in Atlanta
They are all
right
in
now.
on C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if Ritter works out, great. If he doesn't, we're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. And you know what Mariota doesn't do? Hurt us financially for the future.
Yep.
And I think that's how it goes. And another place that there was some concerns, there was concerns about Trey, but there was also concerns about the 49ers offensive line. Jason, do you have concerns about the offensive line coming out of that game versus the Houston Texans?
Did they show that they could handle a complex blitz scheme being thrown at them very well? At times, no. At times, maybe did Trey hang on the ball for a half second long? Yeah, he might have. Did the running backs not necessarily hit the hole that was there as quick as possible? Yeah, so to say that it's all on the O-line is a little overhyped, really. I was concerned more about the Eric Branch report that they're making calls on an interior lineman, though. Because that tells me that whatever they've seen in practices and stuff so far, that they're not 100% convinced on one or multiple of our guys. That to me is a bigger concern than what we saw versus the Texans.
I have a little bit of a different angle on that. It was John Miller, of course, not the great voice of the
Your
Giants.
guy,
that they're looking
the Hawaiian shirt wearing Big Kahuna.
When they said they were bringing in John Miller, that was my first visual. I was like, wow, he's going to play offensive line for the 49ers? That's interesting.
He has probably lost enough weight now where he probably couldn't.
Yeah, he couldn't, right? He's too athletic for that now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, bringing in an offensive lineman, an interior offensive lineman, I don't think it's too big of a surprise, and here's why. If you're getting to the point now where you believe you're going to start two young guys on the interior, Daniel Brunskill could be a tackle option for you. So this might actually be a thought about what is going on the outside with a Mike McGlinchey, for instance, who hasn't returned to practice. You maybe, if you're thinking about plugging and playing Daniel Brunskill right tackle, then you need guard depth. You could be concerned about Jason Poe. You could be concerned about Nick Zakelj. And you could be concerned about, a Jalen Moore, for instance, who's been getting all the tackle snaps. So this might be more of a referendum on the fact that they're moving a tackle outside and they need a guard on the interior. So this might be a referendum on the interior offensive line depth and less on the starters that they have in there. Because I think Banks has been very consistent through preseason from all the film that I've watched. Has he had a couple plays here or there? Of course. He's a young player. Yeah. Spencer Burford had his toughest game against the Texans. I feel shocked. I mean, this is how rookies handle football, and these guys haven't had a lot of snaps in this league. That's why they're playing a lot of snaps. So I think that's more of the thought process with them bringing in him. I think that, you could automatically think, oh, they're looking for a starter. And, of course, the report came out, right? They're looking for a trade potentially. But I wonder if it's about getting a starter or if it's about getting depth.
Depth, yeah. That's true.
It could be. One place that the 49ers hope they have depth is at the safety position because Jimmie Ward, according to John Lynch, he said it on the pre-show before the game against the Texans, that Jimmie Ward is going to go on the IR and that he's had some hamstring issues and that it was a bad pull. Now, Jimmie Ward was getting light work at practice yesterday, so that is at least good news as he's starting his rehab process. However, Tarvarius Ward, George Odom, and Talanoa Hufanga are the three safeties that everyone knows. Of course, Taylor Hawkins, the undrafted free agent, has played really well.
Yeah.
But is Tarvarius Moore or George Odom slated to start in Jimmie Ward's spot, or do they have to have another plan? Do they have to have somebody else that can come in and start because they're going to have to get through 4 games, and 2 of those games are going to be really tough. One against the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson at Mile High, and then they got Matthew Stafford and that powerful passing game coming in as well.
I'm nervous. I really thought we were going to start 3-1. Now 2-2 is a lot more.
Wow.
Yeah, like that much. Yeah. Jimmy, I don't know, man. He's like the ultimate security blanket. He just makes everything kind of be okay. And you just kind of know that as long as he's back there, nothing too wild is going to happen here. So, do they need another? I mean, I'd be okay if they tried Dante Johnson out there even. Like that would be because he knows the system. He doesn't screw up things. Like he doesn't have that terrible penalty. Doesn't be over the top. I'd feel almost more at ease, if he was back there. Honestly,
I think he's going to be back there. I think what's going to happen is they're going to release him, Dante Johnson, and then once Jimmie Ward goes on IR, they'll bring Dante Johnson back, and I think he will be the fourth safety because I think Taylor Hawkins is going to end up on the practice squad.
yeah.
The questions then will it be Dante Johnson or Tarvarius Moore that starts next to Talanoa Hufanga? Hufanga is the starting strong safety on this
Absolutely
football
locked
team.
in. Absolutely,
He's locked in. George Odom is his backup. The question mark is starting next to Jimmie Ward.
Lamar Odom.
I would not be shocked if Dante Johnson started week 1 in Chicago over Tarvarius Moore. Moore has had an up and down preseason and training camp. The only thing I'm going to throw at you, Jason, is there still reports that Jaquiski Tartt may get released by Philadelphia. Do you think they would potentially bring back Tartt if he was available?
And that was tough because it makes sense. It's a fit. He knows the system obviously, but I would think they would see how Moore and Johnson do the first week, and then if they don't, if D'Amico says, you know what, it was okay against the Bears, but it's not gonna be okay versus the Rams and Denver, then they would probably bring him in.
I think if he gets released, he ends up being the signing over Dante Johnson. They throw Dante Johnson on the practice squad and make him an elevated player.
Go the other way?
I think so, because Tartt is a guy that you've seen already play at a high level, and where Tartt's value tremendously is in run fits.
Yeah.
And being able to stop. And you know who you're playing in week 1? Justin Fields, a guy that can run. So you want run blitzing.
He ran all over us last year,
yeah,
too.
So you want to be able to go up there and make
half.
those plays. And Hufanga and Tartt together would be a tremendous grouping against Justin Fields. And then you're going to go play Pete up in the Pacific Northwest, and they ain't passing it all over the place. They're going to want to run the football. So having those guys in those two games it would make a lot of sense.
That's true.
You could have Dante Johnson ready for Denver, but Tartt does a pretty good job. I know a lot of people don't like Jaquiski Tartt, but when it comes down to it, I think some of the things that he was blamed for last year weren't actually on him, but were on other players. But he took the fall.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to get out of Philly because he's still a good player. They might keep him. But if he did, I'd be interested in entertaining that.
Not bad. Yep, idea.
No. And another spot that's gotten interesting because we had the early part of the preseason. It was all Samuel Womack. Looked like he had absolutely locked that spot up enough that they cut Darqueze Dennard.
Early.
Samuel Womack playing nickel corner, and everyone's excited about it. But then all of a sudden, against Minnesota, Deommodore Lenoir started playing some nickel corner as well and at a high level. So it started getting the conversation going. Could it be Deommodore Lenoir, or is it Samuel Womack that starts week 1 at Chicago at the nickel corner spot? And Jason's face tells it all as he's trying to figure this out.
No, it is tough because Nor's done he's come hard out, but I think the fact that they were so willing to put Womack out wide versus the Texans, even I think that shows that they have big plans for him, and I think he gets the week 1 nod.
Okay, yeah, I think it ends up being both of them. Got you. Here's why. I think on early downs, they play Deommodore Lenoir to stop the run, especially a nickel on 1st and 2nd. So if somebody comes out in a 3 wide receiver set, you need to go to nickel. It's Deommodore Lenoir because he's a better run stopper. He's a better tackler right now. I think Womack eventually will develop in all those areas. And then if it gets to 3rd down and they need somebody to go in there and cover, I think it's going to be Sam Womack. They actually gave this away in the first preseason game. They did this with Darqueze Dennard and Samuel Womack.
Yeah, they did.
And so I think they do that again, and that's part of the reason these two guys working in tandem makes a lot of sense. One guy's really good in run fits and a good tackler. The other guy's really good in coverage. Why not use both of their skill sets instead of saying, oh, no, you're the guy? Let's use both of them until Womack is able to completely take over that role. Some point during the year, he probably will. Plus, I want to see Deommodore Lenoir blitzing off the edge. He's one of those guys that plays really tough with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
I think he can make a lot of plays. So to me, it ends up being a little bit of a trick question because it's actually both of them that go ahead and make a big play
Makes
for this
sense.
football team. Yeah, so Jason, I think you're in agreement with me, which is actually shocking.
Not totally, no.
Oh, wow.
So
Is it-
I just disagreed about agreeing. Yeah.
There you go. Well, let's see if we can agree on this because
that's magical.
the conversations about interior offensive line have also sparked this. We've got Croft Dwelley and Keen Omai for the topic. For this reason, Dalton Keene is going to be coming in to work out for the San Francisco 49ers. The tight end, they were interested in a former third-round pick. And the questions for that come with Croft or Dwelley. One of them's going to make this team. Potentially one of them's going to be gone. But why would they bring in Dalton Keene for a workout if they already have those 4 really good tight ends, including that you could also add in Troy Fumagalli as well. The tight end room stacked. Why would you bring in Dalton Keene if you already have those other guys?
The only thing that I could ascertain from this is they have some maybe potential trade interest in 1 or 2 of the guys, and they like the potential value that they'll get in return enough to where if they can find a comparable guy off the street, that it makes sense to make trades.
Okay, I think that's a fair point. I really do. I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction. I believe they know they have to make a tough decision between Croft, Dwelley, and Fumagalli. So one of them is going to be the third tight end. The other ones are going to be gone. For this reason, Tanner Hudson was released.
Yep.
Tanner Hudson goes to the New York Football Giants. We know that Croft, Dwelley are going to have tremendous value around the league. So I think they believe that either one, whoever they cut, is going to end up somewhere else.
Is gone.
They're going to be gone. So you bring in Dalton Keene, who's already been waived. You can take a look at him now, and then he could potentially be your practice squad filler. You bring him in. If these guys go somewhere else, now you've got Dalton Keene, a guy you were high on in the draft a couple years ago, and then now your practice squad is ready to go. That could also be where they ended up going with the guard as well. They have to have depth in case they lose players are claimed, because the way that is going right now, 49ers players are being
Plucked left and
being
right.
plucked at a higher rate than anyone else in the league. So you have to prepare. You have to have that Rolodex ready to go just in case. And if you do keep Croft, for instance, and Dwelley and Fumagalli go sign somewhere else.
Oh, Dwelley's going to be gone then. Sure, like
are you for sure? Are you, because we thought that during the offseason, yet Ross Dwelley came back for a league minimum salary and was coming in as what, third, fourth tight end?
Yeah.
Once again, do we value a player more in San Francisco than he's valued around the league?
I think that tends to happen with every fan base, but I've seen him actually making plays in the games where Kittle's been out. So
Last year?
years ago. There's at least something there that teams have at least some film on.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, Dwelley is, and this isn't 2020. He had a tough 2021 season. So I mean, could there be a landing spot for him? Yes. Could they be preparing for Dalton Keene to come in because, Dwelley could be somewhere else, or even Croft? Because I think if Croft is the guy that's the odd man out and Dwelley makes his football team, Croft is signing somewhere.
Yeah.
He's proven that he can stay healthy again. So I think that's where we're at with that. Now, Jason, one of your favorite topics, the top 100.
I hate you for this.
Yeah, right away. Trent Williams ends up being 14. Deebo Samuel ends up being 19. Shocking, right? Number 19. 19.
Yeah.
And then you had the conversations, of course, 7 49ers end up making the top 100 with Jimmy Garoppolo finishing at 106.
Where was Armstead then? That's insane that he would be above Jimmy.
If I'm Armstead, I'm literally turning into the Incredible Hulk because I'm not getting any respect.
He's the one guy who should be really offended.
When I saw one of the 49ers finish 106, I thought it was Armstead.
Yeah, so did I.
It was completely shocking.
Okay, 106. But
I was actually live when people started telling me in chat that Trent ended up 14 and Deebo was 19, and I thought they were both disrespectful because I thought Trent Williams is a top 5 player in this league. And I know no offensive lineman's ever made top 10, but this is Trent freaking Williams. He should be in the top 10 of players in this league. And then I thought Deebo Samuel should have been top 15. I think those are realistic. I thought Nick Bosa should have been top 15 as well. I didn't think that was a very good ranking for him. I was okay with George Kittle at 22. I thought that was pretty equivalent to where he should be.
But
Fred Warner
Kelsey
at
being
47.
10, though, was...
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey at 10 compared to Kittle at 22, there's a little bit too much of a distance there.
Yeah.
Travis Kelsey's not as
he never has
he
made
doesn't do it both.
A block in his life. Debo, like we talked about yesterday, he's okay there because I think he's a top 8 wide receiver. He's a top 2 or 3 playmaker. So I think if you average that out, that should put him around 2019, 18, somewhere in there.
Wait, so he's a top 8 receiver and a top 2 playmaker.
In terms of his ability to...
So that makes him 19th.
Well, because of the other positions and stuff.
It's just interesting math.
Now,
it's interesting.
Last year, you and that other guy were always on me for being such a big fan of Pro Football Focus. Right now, Pro Football Focus looks a hell of a lot smarter than the NFL Top 100 because the Pro Football Focus had Trent as 1 or 2 still, not 14. And if
terrible argument.
If you look at the rest of the Pro Football Focus Top 10, it aligns a lot more logically than the NFL Top 100, Top 10 does too. It just does. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You can't argue with PFF after PFF just said that Keaton Sutherland had a clean sheet in the game against the UC Texans.
I didn't say they were always right, but I like to use them when it fits
the best argument. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, well done.
and having Trent 1 or 2 definitely benefits my view because, like we talked about last show, he's at worst the 3rd best player in the sport. I would say he's 1A or 1B at worst, but him at 14 is insane. That's just insane. That to me discredits this list for the next 5 years. Like I won't even acknowledge it anymore because it's so insane to have him not in the top 10, let alone top 5 is just insane.
I mean, anytime Mac Jones makes it into the 80s, you start to discredit the
list.
That
too.
I think that, I had no problems with these guys being, kind of towards the top of this list. And if Debo would have been in the top 15, I would have been okay with that. But Debo just put together one of the best seasons for an NFL playmaker that there has been. I mean, he literally revolutionized a position. He created a position, a wide back role. No one had ever seen anything like it. And then to go ahead and say that he's just inside the top 20 of players after Jalen Ramsey said he's one of the top receivers to try to cover. So, I mean, I think that he did what was asked of his football team, and he got punished for it. He had over 1,400 yards receiving, did all these things in the running game, and then he's 19th. These NFL players are sleeping on Deebo Samuel, and when he goes out there and duplicates it and he runs your ass over again, I hope he looks at you and lets you know. Deebo Samuel's not going to shy away from contact, so you come in there with your weak sauce, and he's going to run you over. So I think that this list, once again, I think this list has kind of fallen off over the last several years. I'm not really into it. I wonder how many players are actually still involved because you don't have to opt into ranking these players. But Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams are top 10 players in this league. I'm going to stick to that because I think both of them are fantastic. And I think Nick Bosa should have been a lot higher. And in fact, I think Nick Bosa this year after this season will finish.
But wait, you're telling me that you have Nick as the 3rd best player on our team then?
From the season last year, yes. From the season he produced. I'm not saying actual player, but just saying season results.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say player. To me, he's the 2nd best player on the entire team behind Trent Williams.
Yes.
And I don't even think that's close because those two are just those two are like on another level. They're so fun.
If
and
Bosa stays healthy, he will have a gold jacket. And having Myles
You think
Garrett,
his left arm's just a little shorter than his right?
having Myles Garrett at 11 and him at 24 was...
I do like Myles Garrett, but I mean, anytime you're putting those guys, you got to think they're going to be...
They should be neck and neck.
That's why it's interesting when you hear, because you don't know which players voted, right? So if you got an abundance of AFC North players voting, they're probably going to trend that
Myles
direction.
Garrett, he's a monster.
You have to go against him every single day. I mean, I get it. I really do. Now, Jason, cuts are on the horizon. They're happening tomorrow.
Yes.
Is there any surprise cuts you think are coming that maybe are going to surprise 49er fans, or do you think this is going to be pretty clear cut? Because there are some tough decisions in the running back room. There's some tough decisions on the D line. Also, with the offensive line, any surprises? Like we've had people throw out Ambry Thomas is going to get released. Do you think something like that's going to happen?
No, I unless and it sounds like they're going to give Trey a little more time. So I don't think.
Are you talking about Sermon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not
Lance. I was like,
No,
whoa,
Lance, no.
oh, okay. Talk about wow, that's bold.
Back to Jimmie. Back to Jimmie. All right, here we go. It sounds like they want to give him a little more time, which I get. He is a third-round draft pick. So, but they don't give their draft picks a ton of time. But they do give him a chance, and they must see something in practice or on film where they're like, what he's actually done in games isn't as bad as it looks. So I think he makes it, but I don't know. I'm not sure he should though. So that'd be one guy I wish they would give a hard look to. Other than that, I don't necessarily. There's so much talent on the roster that I don't. Whoever they cut, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, they cut him. No way, I love that guy. Like,
yeah. I'm probably going to be that. Oh, my God, they cut that guy. I mean, last year, the surprise cut was Colton McKivitz because you had just spent so much, value on him. I know it's a 5th-round pick, but you were just
also cost us Matt Breida, too.
Yeah,
so.
You were also in the, talking about the fact he would have started if you wouldn't have been able to trade for Trent Williams at left tackle. That value. I think there's going to be a couple of guys that are going to get our attention like that. I think there's going to be guys that get released and you're like, oh, man, I wish we could have kept him. And for the mere reason that I think, somebody like Jason Poe could get released. Even though you want to have him on the team, I think he could get waived. And Jordan Mason, I think, would get people's attention if he got waived. I think those ones are possible. I predicted yesterday, though, those wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch want to keep those players. They understand those guys could have a huge impact on this team moving forward. But I think those would surprise people if they actually got moved because I think so many people are convinced that those guys are going to be on this roster in 2022.
Now, do you mean surprise as in if we don't at least stash them on the practice squad or just outright, oh, they got cut?
I think outright they got waived, because, that was a Colton McKivitz. He got waived in favor of Tom Compton. I mean, imagine if they waive, I'm going to throw this out there, imagine they waive Jason Poe, but they kept Keaton Sutherland. That could be a surprise to everyone because Sutherland's played, not good.
Yeah.
I don't want to never throw a guy completely under the bus, but he has not been consistent. He has not stacked good reps, and his snaps have been all over the place. So, that would be a surprising move. And last year, that's what it was, right? Tom Compton makes the team. Colton McKivitz, a young player with, they believe, high upside, ends up getting released. And you don't know if they're going to end up on the practice squad.
Yeah.
I think if those guys ended up on the practice squad, you're like, okay, great move by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. They knew what they were doing. They got those guys to the practice squad.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Okay. So I think we're in agreement. I don't think there's going to be any tremendously surprising ones. Hopefully they don't all of a sudden cut somebody. I think they've done a really good job of already putting some of the other guys on the pup list and stuff.
I guess the only one that would maybe surprise me that I'm more thinking about now would be if they cut Sudfeld.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's the one where I'd be like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, then that would mean that they cut Sudfeld and kept Purdy.
Yeah.
Or what if they cut Sudfeld and Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo stayed on the roster? Would that surprise you?
I've heard people talking about that in the last couple of days, and so I don't know if the people who are saying that are just speculating, or maybe they're getting a little nudge of like, don't be surprised if we do this.
So wouldn't that be interesting if Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy both get
that would be shocking
and cut, and Jimmy Garoppolo stays on the team? And what if that coincide with a Jimmy Garoppolo contract restructuring?
It would have to.
It doesn't have. Not from Jimmy's point of view. Jimmy could be like,
no, I mean, from
I want to make $27 million.
From ours, it would have to be like, hey, they could do it like a roster bonus where if you're on the roster on October 1st, you get $18 million there, boom, done. And then, have the actual number go down too. So,
yeah, I don't know. So,
but that would make KNBR and KGO and ESPN and Colin Cowherd's show and even old Grant Coney over there. That would make some interesting I wonder what they're going to say now, because if they do that, though, that's going to create the idea of they're not totally convinced on Trey, and that's the one thing where I think they have to factor in that too.
I think that's going to play into it. I think the money's going to play into it. But you need to make sure you join me tomorrow on the live stream. I'm going to go live to talk about all the cuts as they happen, as the 49ers build their 53-man roster. Make sure you come right here to 49ers Cutback and check it out. Join me. We'll have a nice conversation about it. I'm going to hop on as soon as all the cuts really start going. And it'll be fun. And last year we were on, and it was exciting. We were there as it was happening, giving commentary. And so I'll be doing the same thing this year, giving commentary as the 49ers build this roster. And if any of these surprise moves happen, does Jimmy Garoppolo finally get moved? All those questions could be answered. I say could. Unfortunately, we never know for sure. But hopefully, resolution comes tomorrow. Join me for the live stream. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And Jason, what a great episode. We covered a variety of different topics. And the next time that we have a conversation will be next week. And that means it's game week. Regular season is here. 49ers versus Chicago Bears. I can't wait for next week.
I am getting itchy. I'm over preseason. I'm over all the little inner battles of this and that. Like I want to get down to the real main event.
And since you're getting itchy, I would suggest washing it off. At least getting some lotion or something.
From last night.
Yeah, who knows?
You never know.
Jason's got to go take care of his itch, and we've got to get on to the next episode. Hope you guys all have a good one. Enjoy.
Great college games this weekend too. Watch them.
Yeah, watch some of that. Get ready for draft next year.
Who we might get.
But join me tomorrow for the live stream. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jason, this is a great one. We'll catch you all in the next one. We're out.